Hi, Susan Elias here. Today I'm going to answer a question that a few of my viewers have been asking me, and that is how to pad and lower the waistline on your dress form. I'm going to show you that right now, so let's get started. Okay, so the very next step is you're going to want to I get a thin elastic. That's usually the best thing you can do when you're doing your own waist. And I like to just put it around my waist and tie a knot or a bow, whatever suits your fancy. And that'll give you your natural waist because it's automatically wanting to go to the smallest part of your body, and that's your waist. So now that I have that around me, I'm not going to follow myself exactly because I am short-waisted. I want kind of in between what a model would be and myself so that it's a more consistent shipping garment for a size 6, if that makes sense. Okay, next step. Another thing to note with this process on my dress form is that it is removable. Here is what I already padded that was on this dress form. So if I have a client that is very narrow on the waistline and very curvy, then I can use this dress form as is. If I have more of a realistic size 6 client, or if I want to produce something that's consistent to what I really want, then I have it here that I can always just take off the dress form because it's only pinned. Okay, let me show you how it's done now. Okay, how do we go about getting the center front measurement and your center back measurement on a person? Well, I'm going to show you right now. I have my measuring tape here, and I'm going to put it what's called the pit of the neck, where the neck has a little bit of a concaved area. You hold it there, you stand up very straight, and you measure to the elastic, and that's how you're going to be getting your waistline. So this is only a little bit over 14. I'm going to try to make this mannequin as close as I can to 15, which is the centered front neck to waist, as well as the center back to the waist. Same thing has to happen in the back. It's hard to do it on yourself, but you can stand up straight. I have it standing up, and there's a bone in the back of your neck. That predominant bone is your center back, and that measurement is close to 16, but I'm going to probably want to do this about 16 and a half. Okay, so let me show you how it's done. So I have the felt. This is the full width of the felt that is folded in half. And what I've done here is left the full width of the felt from the fold line to the cut part, and I made it and I cut it 10 inches in length. And I'm going to fold it in half, just like that. Leave the fold mark. The thick fold mark will be on top. And all I'm going to do is take my mannequin like this, put it over to the front of the mannequin, wrapping above the mannequin, I would say about 3 inches, and below the mannequin, a good 3 inches. And to make it smooth over to the back, and what I'm going to do in the back is I'm going to angle it down and cut it on an angle. Let me show you that next. Okay, here I have it pinned on the mannequin just very briefly. I don't have any pins on here. I just wrapped it around the mannequin, and I put one pin here on the center back and another pin here on the center back, so I can then cut this on an angle. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is take a ruler and find the top part of the center front and the bottom part, so I can lightly draw in my center front line with a pencil, so I know where I'm going to be placing my pins. Just make sure I have that in the right spot, and there we go. So now I know where to put the pins for the center front. As I'm wrapping around the back now, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pin this to secure it, and then I'm going to take this with my scissor and then just cut it. Let's see if I can find it on an angle, right on the center back, just like that. Hope you can see that. Okay. So there we go on this side, and you have all the thickness there that I'm going to be pinning down. I'm just going to go ahead and put one pin there just to keep it secure. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. I'm just going to pin this above here like that. I'm going to fold it back. You could do it with a marking. I mean, you could mark it so you have a better line, so you can fold it and do a little bit of marking. And then now that you have those two markings, you can then use your ruler and draw a line if that's more helpful to you, like that. Okay, there's your line. Go ahead and cut on that line like this. Okay, now I'm going to be pulling it and securing it in the center back as well as the center front, and I'll be right back. Okay, just to show you the marking process with the pins, I'm taking the pin. You cannot go straight through all the layers, but you can do it on an angle. So I'm going to get this right on that drawn line, and I'm on an angle going to put the pin. The good thing about that, and the most important part of the pinning it, is that you have something you can feel while you're draping that you know is going to be that center front. Let me go ahead and finish that, and I'll be right back. Already pinned the center front and the two panels of the center back. I left a little space here on the top, and the reason why is it's pretty thick here on the top, and what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to cut through just the top layer. I'm going to snip through there and release the top layer, I'd say about 3/8 of an inch down from the fold line, and see what happens once I do that. I'm going to cut just that one line and I'm going to release it. See if you can see that all the way around. And I'll show you what happens once I do that, because this is quite thick having all those layers there. And now that I cut this about 3/8 of an inch down on the top part only, when I release it, let's go ahead and snip this one all the way through. When I release it and put it up, you now have kind of a scaling of one cut piece, a folded, and another cut piece. So it's not just thick on the very edge, if that makes sense. So now I have that on this side. I'm going to do this side, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've pinned the center back, as you can see, and I've pinned the center front, as you can see. I've also pinned the side seams because I want to have an indication or something to feel when I'm draping from my side seam. Okay, so it's kind of puckering a little bit here at the waist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and release it a little bit by cutting through where the princess seam is up, like this, all the way to the waist, like that. And that way I can go ahead and overlap it to make like a little dart if I want to, right there at the princess seam. And I'm going to do that to the other side. As soon as I do this like that, I'm going to go up just a little bit more, like that, with the thicknesses. I'm going to go ahead and put an overlapping slightly here so it's a little bit smoother. At the same time, it's also going to give me an indication of where my princess seam is on the back, and I will also need that when I'm draping. So I'm going to go ahead and overlap it just slightly and pin it down, and I'll be right back. Pin this down, and I slit this on the princess seam in the back as far as up as I needed it, overlapped it if I needed to, and then pinned it down so I have an indication of my princess seams. Why am I doing it just in the back and not the front? Because the back, you have an arch. It kind of goes out where the butt is, and so it's needed more in the back than it is in the front. Okay, this is the important part. So how long do I want to make this? I mean, from the center front to the waist. That all depends on what you need and what you like. I've had a few people email me and give me comments and wanting to lower the waistline quite a bit. They're saying one of them was all the way at the hip. If it is that dramatic, chances are, unless you're going to go really, really thick here, it's not going to work. But you can go up or down within, I'd say, a good inch of the natural waist of your actual dress form, and below maybe 1 inch. But other than that, it's going to be very hard to go extreme. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to measure. I wanted 15. So from here to 15, I'm going to put a little mark with my pencil, so I know where I'm going to put that tape now. On the back, we said we were going to go about 16 and a half. So I'm going to mark this here. I'm going to go, let's say, about 16 and 3/8, not quite a half, because I'm just eyeing it and I know that I don't want to go that low. So I'm going to put my little pencil mark here on the back, and the pencil mark is here at the front. That's when I take my black tape, and I'm going to put it then now where I want my waist to be, and I'm going to pin it down, and I'll be right back. Okay, I went ahead and took the ribbon and I actually tied it in the back and secured it in the back. And I want to also measure where this line is before I pin it down to make sure it's what I needed. I'm kind of looking for 30, so let's see what happens here. I'm putting this all the way around, and I have, if you can see it, exactly 30. So that's what I wanted. Believe it or not, my slopers are anywhere, professional slopers are usually anywhere from like say 26 and a half at the waist to maybe 28 and a half. Really the fullest, but I'm wanting it to be at least 29 or 30 inches because I think that's more realistic for today's woman in a good size 6. So let me go ahead and pin it down now at the black tape, and we are almost done. Okay, we did it. We successfully padded the waistline and lowered it just a little bit. So now it's more realistic to what I want it to be. We were able to get our 30 inches here at the waistline. So hopefully you can see that. It's 30 inches. I was able to get the center front to the waist close to a 15, which is what we wanted, and the center back to the waist a 16 and a half, which was more of what we needed and wanted. Okay, this is done. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out my website, which is susanelias.com or eliascouture.com. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, which is Susan Elias Couture. Like this video if you liked it. Share it. I do appreciate it. And ask me a question because you know I'm going to answer it. Thank you. Bye-bye.